Our concept was born from the excessive discovery that illegal mining unleashes, a selfish reality that touches and concerns everyone. Can you imagine how much untouched land, clean water, and toxic metals it takes to make a pair of ornamental earrings? How many natural resources are wasted daily for a profit? How many communities and geographic areas are exploited and abused by this illegal practice? It is impossible to imagine because the damage, consequences, quantities, and dimensions are silent, and in many cases ignored. Today we want to make the invisible visible. We want to show the price that must be paid to benefit the few.
Our project consists of taking advantage of what the location offers and generating a space of impact for the visitor who then in turn becomes an actor by interacting with the design's elements, will travel, inhabit, and fill the space to measurements, materials, proportions, and magnitudes. Therefore, the elements that interact with the human body are panels that oscillate in size from 1 cubic meter to 5 cubic meters. As a result, each panel, with its own and different measurements, represents in volume the annual proportion that was found of elements such as water, mercury, and gold.
These last elements are represented by a vertical axis that will be inserted in the panels and will act as a thermometer to indicate the beginning and end of each element. This thermometer becomes visible thanks to the PVV laminated tempered glass, the main material that was given to the panels. Glass makes us feel, thanks to its heaviness and density, the irrational waste of the present elements. Besides, its transparency is vital because it allows us to make visible the depth of the space, causing curiosity in the visitors to be able to see something beyond. In this way, we highlight our concept by saying that we intend to reveal an unknown fact. In terms of technique and construction, the panels cross the room on a horizontal axis and are supported by employing a frame that is welded to a pair of brackets. These brackets are bolted to the columns, which will be unloading all the weight to the ground.
Everything mentioned above takes place on the continent of Oceania and Sydney, Australia, within Paddington, an old water reservoir. In this reservoir, a 348 square meters room was discovered. A covered and rectangular colonnade measuring 29 meters long, 12 meters wide, and 5 meters high. The columns create an orthogonal grid, where the space between columns on its horizontal axis is approximately 4 meters, and on its vertical axis it is approximately 2 meters. This space was proper to implement our concept under an architectural language.
Now, as we previously mentioned, the place of the intervention was an old water reservoir. Knowing this, and considering the importance we give to water, we inspect which other countries face this reality to connect them. So, with this in mind, we start a geographical tour where water, rivers, and streams were the common thread. Leaving then from the Murray River, the longest river in Australia, we connect to the north with China. Continuing with Russia, crossing the whole continent and reaching the United States, to descend to the Latin America and reach Peru, where we connect with the Amazon River, the longest river in Colombia. Therefore, the number of panels increased. It was no longer just Australia, it was no longer a national dilemma, but a global situation. 6 types of panels were then installed, showing 6 countries facing this tragic waste.
Upon touching Colombian land through the Amazon basins, we related our previous project, the Amacayaco National Natural Park, with the current project. We understood that the human factor, the ambition factor, the egoism factor are the same throughout the globe. This project, like the previous one, is a fight to denounce immoral and illegal acts that devastate the environment. Just as water pollution is erasing the natural boundary between ecosystems, between two alternatives of water, so the extraction of coal is wasting and consuming resources that are indispensable for our daily life.
We recognize and evidence artificial phenomena such as illegal mining, extraction, pollution, or human ambition, which are threatening a natural phenomena identified as natural resources, the identity of waters, communities, or biodiversity. In understanding the moral conflict and abuse of elements, we pose the following questions. Is it worth the pair of ornamental gold? Is it worth destroying our environment? Are the losses justified? At what price? And most importantly, does gold justify the abuse of quantities? Do the ends justify the means?